All right. Next up, I'd like to welcome Alan Hahn from MycoTechnology. Alan. MycoTechnology has created a food processing platform that uses gourmet fungi to transform agricultural products' taste, value, and nutritional characteristics.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So what am I between you and more alcohol? So I'll try to keep this interesting and succinct. So let me get to the next slide. So what MycoTechnology is, we're a food technology company. We're based in Denver, Colorado. My name's Alan Hahn. I'm CEO and founder of the company. Our goal is to do something very unusual in the food space, and that is to remove something rather than just mask it. So we've developed a food processing platform using something very unique, and that is the root system of fungi. You're going like, huh? Yes, the root system of fungi. So what's interesting in nature, fungi is the cleanup crew. It removes toxins from the environment and gives nutritional benefits back to the root systems of trees. We leverage that because things in nature that are toxic are bitter. So it's a great mechanism for us to remove things in food that you don't want. Our process is all natural. It's, we don't use any chemicals or GMO processes. And I wish I could see this, but this is so tiny on the screen. I'm going to look over here. Our two processes that we've developed on our technology is one called Myco Smooth, and that's the ability to remove something. And things like bitter molecules, things like mycotoxins, and infuse beta-glucans, which are really good for you. They're long strands of sugars that stimulate your immune system. The other thing we've developed is a very potent bitter blocker from the same root system of fungi. It adheres to your bitter receptors and blocks your ability to sense the metallic, bitter, licorice flavors typically found in things like stevia. So our two processes, again, one is a fermentation process, the Myco Smooth, and the other is a natural bitter blocker. The challenge in the food industry, things are bitter. And there's lots of different ways to address it. You can use mechanical processes that may strip out nutrients. You can use chemical and GMO processes that consumers don't embrace. And then once you remove the nutrients, you get into this whole enrich and fortified process, which is not embraced by consumers. The substrates that we've worked on so far are coffee. So those of you that drink coffee, raise your hand. How many put cream and sugar in your coffee? All right, so with our coffee, you would never think of putting cream and sugar in it. We go through the process of removing that bitterness, and it's full of beta-glucans. So it's a great tasting coffee that's very healthy for you. We can take very low-grade coffee and make it taste like a very high-grade coffee. So it's a great value proposition for the roasters. We created a new beverage called green coffee tea. That is the first unroasted green coffee on the market. And it has no coffee flavor, but it has all the caffeine we're all looking for and tastes like a green tea. We have green Chinese tea that all the bitterness is removed. No need to add sugar. Chocolate, we call it our guilt-free chocolate. Again, we reduce about 85% of the bitterness, so you can reduce the sugar required to get the flavor we're all looking for by 50 to 90%. And we have some of our chocolate in the back there for you to taste. We created the first gluten-free wheat, so we actually trained the mushroom to consume the gluten protein. And gluten-free products are very hot. It's about 10 billion a year, going to be 16 billion in the next 24 months. And we've solved one of the biggest issues. There's flavor and texture. So this obviously solves the flavor issue because you're getting real wheat instead of rice as the replacement for wheat. And then we can enhance grains with protein. So everybody is looking for non-animal sources of protein. This is a great way to get it. Change these carbohydrates and change the glycemic load of these grains. So our bitter blocker works fantastic on stevia. We've had lemonade back there with our stevia in it. You should taste no metallic, bitter licorice flavor to it. The stevia market's about $320 million a year right now, growing very fast. The sugar market is $60 billion a year. So there's a big opportunity to move some of that business away from sugar and use something great that has no calories like Mycozyme stevia. We've tested our product and we have our first customer coming online with red ginseng in Korea. Just got through testing with coconut water. I don't know about you. How many people drink coconut water? How many people like coconut water? Okay. For those of us that hate that taste, this makes it taste really good. And that's the summary there. We'll open up to questions.
All right. Thank you, Alan.
Questions about mushrooms. How do we train them?
How do you train
Whips,
it? Yeah.
whips and chairs. They talk back a lot.
So do you have a manufacturing facility? Do you have a mushroom farm?
We do not, no. So what we do, this is designed for scaling and mass producing. So we grow our fungi in aqueous environments, so in large vats. So you can have 10, 20, 30, 50,000 liter vats to grow these in. They grow very rapidly and process substrates anywhere from 3 days to about 14 days, depending on what it is.
You guys, if you have questions, raise your hands for Alan, please. Bernadette.
How does a mushroom fix things?
Well, the way mushrooms eat, and so we leverage that mechanism and we teach it what it would prefer to eat. So we go through a training process. Think about the food in front of a fungi. They will eat everything. If you left a fungi alone with a coffee bean, you would come back to be a smiling fungi and no coffee bean. So we train it to prefer certain molecules. And bitter molecules are one that we can leverage its natural mechanisms. So we teach it how to eat, go after what we want. And once we've trained it, it's a permanent change. And then we keep that as our original plates, and then we can grow as much as we want indefinitely.
Alan, what kind of resistance are you finding in the marketplace from players that are already established? Why change things? They're not thinking of people's health necessarily. So what kind of challenges are you having introducing this to the market since it's so new?
So I think the question is kind of hard to hear you is why change things? You know, why would food companies want to change what they're doing? They would actually rather not. They've used sugar forever. Sugar is cheap. It's very effective. It's a great masking agent, but consumers have pushed back. There's the answer can't always be throw sugar at the problem. So our approach of removing the bitter components of a food is very novel and being embraced by the industry because they need to lower the amount of sugar, the amount of salt, the amount of fat in their foods. So there's a big push to do that and do it in a natural way. And so there's really not resistance, it's more about education.
And with stevia, what is the relationship with, I guess, glucose is the problem with sugar? Is that right? Or does stevia have that issue?
Yes, it definitely has an issue. There's some great aspects of stevia. It's a plant. It's natural. It's a high-intensity sweetener. It's 300 times sweeter than sugar. It has no calories. Fantastic. It's bitter. It's a metallic, bitter, licorice aftertaste. How many people know what the taste of stevia tastes like? Yeah, see, just about everybody. And some people are more sensitive to others. But it is really a kind of a rough aftertaste, particularly in certain products. Like if you put it in chocolate, chocolate amplifies that aftertaste. So that gets to be a big problem. So with our solution to stevia, we've eliminated that metallic bitter licorice aftertaste. And so you can put it in much more products. And I think it'll start eating into the sugar market for sure, or at least the chemical alternatives.
Any questions for Alan?
So I appreciate it. We're just, we've been going through the fun times of being a startup, and we're just crossing the chasm to our Series A. And we have our lead investor and our syndicate, and we're hoping to close in the next couple of weeks. So we're very excited about that. So we're glad we've survived the due diligence process and are ready to close. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Good stuff. Thank you.